that is now not moving anywhere. Now this is where the drainage area for the shower is going to go, so I need to keep remembering that, because otherwise it's going to be a right pain if I put a noggin right where the drain for the shower is. Also, update on the window, it's going to arrive in 2 weeks apparently, so exciting times ahead. Whilst I was in full noggin mode, I messed up, which is a bit of a theme with everything I do. I forgot to put a piece of 4x2 like I've done here on that side, and as a result, the floor, pieces of plywood, aren't going to have anything supporting it there. So I've basically got two options. One, I add little bits of 4x2, cut every single one and run it along the left hand side just there, or I get rid of the stud wall and then I only have to basically put down an entire sheet of plywood to cover this entire area. Now you may be thinking it is quicker to the 4x2 in between the noggins, but that is actually not the case, because it requires more cutting of plywood. And you can think you're doing a shortcut that's going to save you time, when in actual fact, sometimes you are better off going back to square one. And when this is all now not got that stud wall just there, I will be able to then drop basically an entire sheet of plywood and just cover the entire area. So that is going to be my task right now. So that is that stage now done. All of the screws are in. If you're wondering what screws I'm using, they're just 5cm. 5.0 is just the strength of the screw. That is obviously the distance from there to there. And yeah, basically you only want to put them every, I don't know, 30 centimeters, but you want to make sure it's properly solid, because any movement that happens now will happen when you've got tiles down. And you can see really clearly here the height difference that I was on about compared to the rest of the tiny house. Now you might remember in the previous video I said that the priority for working out the detail of your floor is the large surface areas, because it costs not a lot of money to add batten to raise up the floor in a small area to meet the large surface area, versus if you did the complete opposite, adding batten to each floor joist in, say, this room here, well then that's going to cost you a lot of money and time. So always make sure the largest surface area is the finished floor level. Now for me, this is a very weird floor detail that I'm going for, but it is what is required for what I am building here. Now to explain this, I'm just going to pick a flat area. So let's go with here, and let's just draw out a section of the floor. Now I'm going to be working from everything you have seen so far on the channel. That is the 6x2 that is in the floor already. On top of that, I have got 18mm of marine grade plywood. Top tip, you can just type the measurement of 1.8 centimeters and then press enter and it will set it to that height. I'm using the free version of SketchUp just to show you all that you don't need to spend a huge amount of money to get into this whole world. Now on top of that, I am going with 50mm of jab board. It's a type of insulation that's really good and kind of impact resistance. Now that is 5 centimeters. Now let's pick white to show the insulation. On top of the insulation, I am then going to be having 18 millimeters of tongue and groove green chipwood flooring. It's water resistant. It's what every single person in England uses, and that is 1.8 centimeters again. And let's just pick a color of green. Now that sandwich of flooring is the detail, and the total height of that is 86 millimeters. Now the next most important thing to remember is what is going to be going on top of that tongue and groove green chipwood flooring, because obviously this is not going to be the finished floor that you have. On top of that, you might be going for a particular type of herringbone wood flooring, which is then going to obviously add, say, I don't know, what is that, like a centimeter of wood flooring then on top of that. And now it's gone from 8.6 centimeters to now 9.6 centimeters. And as you can see, it's gone from this being your floor height to now we're 10 centimeters above the original floor joist. Now there is actually a knock-on effect which you really need to be careful of, and that is when you get to, say, the bathroom. That is all going to be the same floor detail, and now when you enter the bathroom, you're going from herringbone flooring to porcelain tiles or marble. I haven't still decided on the final finishes, but I know enough to then work out what detail this is going to be. As we just worked out, this detail in the bedroom, which is going to be the same for then the living room as well, that is 9.6 centimeters. At this point, you might be thinking, I'm not really sure what sort of detail a bathroom has. It's pretty similar to the rest of the house. Got 18 millimeters of the marine grade plywood, so 1.8 centimeters. And then on top of that is going to be Jacko board, tile backer board, which you can get in so many different depths. You can get 1 centimeter, you can get 10 centimeters if you really wanted. It acts as kind of a lifesaver because you've got so many different depths, and therefore we now know that we want this to be our finished floor level. So what you then do is work backwards from the herringbone. So typically it varies massively on what tiles you're going for, but let's just say that the porcelain tiles are 1 centimeter. Now what this allows you to do is then figure out what thickness of tile backer board you're then going to need, because as you can see, that is the underside of the tile, that is the top of the 18 millimeters of plywood flooring that I've got, and in between the two, that distance is going to be 6.7 centimeters. It's not actually going to be that because underneath the tile there is then going to be a bed of mortar, and there is then also going to be your electric underfloor heating and whatnot. So that is that. All of the plywood flooring is now done, which now I've got the task of ordering everything for the bathroom, which is quite an upsetting task to do because I have got to spend a lot of money, and I also just spent a ton of money buying all of this stuff, but I'm investing in myself because yeah, the Ryobi stuff all just kept breaking, but I do like this is very good, but the rest just doesn't really cut it. I've only used this for, well, a few hours, but so far I really am pretty impressed, and because obviously I buy all of my own tools and I'm not sponsored by anyone, I will let you know what is actually good and what isn't. And so far, I mean, this in comparison to the Ryobi one is like night and day. Top tip when ordering this stuff, do not buy batteries and whatnot separately or chargers, because these are about 60 quid each, and you're better off buying something like, where was it? This, which was 2 4-amp-hour batteries, a charger, and this drill here. No, not that one. this one, and all of that was 150 quid in comparison to buying 2 batteries and a charger, which came in at 220 quid. So basically it's better off to buy a starter kit and end up with 2 drills that do exactly the same thing than to buy the ingredients all separately, if that makes sense. I've been approached quite a lot by various other brands to do brand deals and get paid a fair amount of quid, but the bottom line is the products that I would have been promoting, I would never actually buy them myself, so I only recommend what I would actually buy myself. And if you are wanting to support the channel, I've got a newsletter and I've got a Patreon. Next video is a very, very exciting one. If you do want more detailed videos, as if you're actually going to be building all of this yourself, check out my Patreon. There is a link in the description, and that is for the people who actually want to get into becoming a DIY developer and whatnot. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you in the next one in a bit.